I hope the people in Bethlehem will remain involved in their government. If there's debate, that's fine. If there's disagreement, that's fine. Let's try to keep it civil, but be involved. And last, I would ask everyone to ensure that they always hold their elected officials accountable for what they do on the job and how they do it. I have a release that I will give to you here, as well as we can communicate that electronically, and I'm willing to take any questions and answer them as best I can to my ability here this morning. But again, I thank you for being here and for listening to me. Any questions?
Sam, I guess I'll start. Maybe it was a bad time to be vague on this press conference, but I was under the impression, though, that perhaps this has something to do with dispatcher Eric Kerr. Can you give us an idea of where that's at? The community is still a little uneasy about how that was all handled.
I understand your question and the uneasiness, but what I have to say at this time in particular, and my comment will be the same no matter how I'm asked that now, is as supervisor, I see that one as a personnel matter that is being attended to. I'm aware of all of the issues there, and with Chief Corsi, I am working on that. And I'm not going to make any further differential comments on that point at this time.
Sam, when you ran 2 years, I'm Carol DeMar from the Times Shoot. When you ran 2 years ago, you ran as a member of the Independence Party, and you had Conservative Party support, Working Families Party support, and,
yes,
and Republican Party support. I'm sorry, I'm going to turn this off. What is there a possibility that you may not have that support now, if you were to run again? I mean, did that factor into your decision?
Carol, it did. It was not the primary factor. Looking at my overall life and where I am, what I've accomplished and what remains, and I honestly believe of my overall agenda, working here in the town in the next 6 months, I'll be able to walk away saying I did what I wanted to do, or most of it. But in terms of the support from the parties, let me tell you this. I have a commitment for endorsement from Conservative and Working Families Party.
And Independents?
Not Independents. I'm in the Independence Party. I didn't get that support this year, and I didn't have it last year. Last year I had Republican Party support. I don't have that this year. That's a factor that I consider too, but it's not the primary reason why I make a decision about my life and what I do. I'm not afraid of hard work or fighting strong for what I believe in. I just don't think that's what I should do now, given the serious business that I'm supposed to be doing here. That's the bottom line.
Let me just get this clear. You're a member of the Independent, you're enrolled in the Independence Party. But in '09, you did not have that party's support or endorsement, and that's the same now?
That's the same.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sam, do you know if anybody's going to be taking over those endorsements for you, or, I mean, what's path ahead with those party lines for the
What would
coming
happen
election?
on the two minority party lines?
Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea how that would go. I did communicate to both Richie Stack and Karen Scharf that my intention was to discontinue my run. Those parties and those committees will have to make determinations about that. I think it's early enough from my perspective in the process for them to have certain choices about that.
Do you have a new job to go to?
Do we have what?
A new job.
No, I don't. And frankly, taking this wasn't about a job, Carol. It was
How
about
old are you, Sam?
I'm 67. I'm 67, but I'm a guy that kind of has a different view of what retirement is. All retirement generally means for me is I have some choices about what I can do and invest my time as I want to in my community. I was very busy with my board activities and volunteer activities and being a chaplain at Albany Medical Center before I ran for town supervisor. I would bet that I'm going to reinvest myself in some of those.
And volunteer work.
Yes.
And for your profession through the years, what was it?
My profession has always been service to the public. I was a deputy for administration and management, Department of State, New York State government. I spent 27 years there, including division of the budget and environmental conservation. And prior to that, I was assistant to the publisher of the Daily News in New York City. And I've had a couple other director of foundation and private sector jobs. So always leadership, always management, almost always public service.
There's a sign outside that says no cameras. Does that have anything to do with the plan to install a camera inside the dispatch unit, and is that plan moving forward to install that?
I'm not going to be discussing the dispatcher unit. I haven't seen the sign outside.
Sam, you've always touted voter choice and openness in government. Personally, how do you feel about right now leaving this basically an uncontested race?
I think that's something that is not my issue. That could be an issue of the voters. I do know voters like choices. I believe they should have a choice, particularly in a wonderful community of Bethlehem with our 34,000 residents here. But they're going to have to determine about that, Bill, what their feelings are, not me.
Sam, Chris Hughes from retired Bethlehem Police Department. I'm not enjoying this one bit. I like you, I really do. I am a little bit critical of you, and for you to stand there at the microphone today and say, you know, civility is one of the foundations for the way you run government. That may be the case for other people. My criticism of you is simply that I never endorsed you. However, we did have some brief conversations. You shook my hand. You said if this is something that you believe in, continue what you're doing. You then made a promise to me, outside of the Board of Elections, after the absentee ballots were counted, that getting me back to work was going to be one of your top priorities. I don't think it's fair for you or the town attorney to insinuate you couldn't have done that because of a pending lawsuit, because more than a year went by before I filed that lawsuit. And in my opinion, you made absolutely no effort to contact me, to contact my attorneys, to contact my union officials, and you never even asked what I wanted. And I'm here to say that what I wanted back then was to get my job back, and you did nothing to ensure that. So, as I said, I'm not enjoying this, Sam. I think this is a sad day. I think you were good for Bethlehem overall, and I think what you did in the election was unprecedented. And I think it's, unfortunately, this is an opportunity that's been squandered, and I certainly feel for you, and I wish you the best of luck, sincerely.
Mr. Hughes, I have not commented on this issue in my capacity as supervisor. I'm not going to comment on it here. The intention here was for me to do something that is already difficult, and that's to tell people that I'm leaving a job I love, and I'm going to leave it that way.
That's fair.
Any other questions?
Just to answer the press's question, it's my understanding the cameras have already been installed in the dispatch